Good evening. Welcome to the Napoleon Memoirs. We are here to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to obsess about Napoleon. So, yesterday we were learning from Count Charles Tristan de Montagne how St. Helena, the island where Napoleon was sent to spend his last days, was very inhospitable to life, except rats. Rats did great there, of all things. So, no one ever said the rats didn't thrive there. And I don't think they were rat size. I think they grew to cat size. The way they talk about them, these were huge rats, crazy huge rats. And throughout the Napoleon Memoirs from St. Helena, you hear that there's rats in his hat, his boots. Poor Napoleon. Why would he have to live like that? Anyway, but we're going to find out what he had to endure, as we have been finding out for years. So let's get started. The climate of St. Helena is in general unhealthy. It offers, however, agreeable impressions to the European, who, after having been confined several more months on board a ship, and having suffered many privations, profits by the few days allowed him at this island to land, to enjoy dinner, fresh meat, green vegetables, and fruit. The crews of the squadron lost a great number of men. 2 brigs, the Mosquito and the Raccoon, lost 84 men out of 2,000. The admiral's vessel, the Concurrent, was obliged to put to sea in order to arrest the mortality which was decimating its crew. Another vessel, the Friendship, lost 120 within a short time of its arrival. Another incontrovertible proof of the insalubrity of the climate of St. Helena is that there is no instance of a native or a slave having reached the age of 60 years. Dysentery and hepatitis raged during 6 months of the year with violence greater than what occurs in India. This was the residence destined by the sovereigns of Europe for one whom they had for 10 years called their brother. It is clear that it yielded in no respect to the celebrated rooms of Vincennes, where Cardinal de Retz is buried, where Puy, Laurent, Ornano, and the Grand Prior of Vendôme died, and which, according to Madame de Rambouillet's opinion, was worth its weight in arsenic. He would know everything but arsenic. The day after his arrival, 8 o'clock in the morning, the Emperor mounted his horse in company with the Grand Marshal and Sir George Cockburn to take a view of the island. But he was only conducted to Longwood, and care was taken that he should not see Plantation House and its beautiful productions. He only saw that part of the island which was burnt up by the southeasterly winds, Longwood and its wood of gum trees, called deadwood by the colonists. He took no interest at all that the admiral said to him concerning the works which he was planning to render habitable, the sheds, which had till then only served as a depot for the East India Company, if we accept an old stone building in which the deputy governor, Lieutenant Colonel Skelton, had contrived to make a certain sort of lodging. The only advantage which we enjoyed at Longwood was a vast plain of 1.5 miles radius, upon which one might take an airing on horseback or in a carriage without running the risk of being precipitated into a ravine by the slightest slip or stumble of the horse. Plantation House, on the contrary, is really a delightful residence, surrounded by beautiful and extensive gardens. There the emperor would have been comfortable. He might have walked at any hour of the day under the magnificent trees in the park. At Longwood, on the contrary, he was worse off than the lowest officer in the barracks of Europe. Okay, so Ibn Montagne's mentioning the vast number of British soldiers that could not live in this climate So all of these people on the unfortunate employ of the British military just dying so they could pretend that Napoleon died of natural causes. Oh, these people had to die. They don't care. What do they care, these poor soldiers? It's terrible. It is terrible. And a lot of people do complain about the situation with the only job is in the military, right? How does that work? That's engineered. We all know that. And military jobs are very dangerous. As we can see, all these people had to die so they could pretend that they had a natural causes death with Napoleon. All right, so let's check out Las Casas in Italian. I just want people to see how it works because it doesn't change. This is a group with very, very well established patterns, and that's why they try to shut down history. So you won't see that it's always the same thing with them. English gold, that's who I'm talking about. So let's get into Italian. 483. Okay, here we go. All right. Quasi ogni giorno io assistevo alla sua acconciatura, sia che mi ritrovassi per terminare il mio lavoro, sia che vi fossi chiamato per conversare nel considerare io un giorno l'imperatore il quale stava vestendo il giusto cuore di flanella, i lineamenti del mio volto esprimevano senza dubbio qualche singolare significazione. Di che ridi, vostra eccellenza? Frasi con cui designava nei suoi momenti di buon umore, qual mai pensiero occupa in questo istante la mente sua, si regli e per chi lessi ora in un libercolo che la maggiore sicurezza indossava di notte un corazza. In alcuni crocchi di Parigi dicevasi qualche cosa di somigliante e se ne adduceva in provo l'improvviso impinguari della MV fenomeno che a pareri loro non poteva essere del tutto naturali. Ora pensava che potrei testare con piena cognizione di cose serie quell'impiegamento conformi alle leggi della natura e far fede che almeno in Santa Elena la MV aveva posto la banda a ogni precauzione ed è questa fatta. Ciò che voi dite è una delle molte sciocchezze e bacini posti in fuoco sul conto mio e questa è tanto più goffa in quanto che sapevasi benissimo la poca cura che io prendevo della mia conservazione, abituato fin dall'età di 18 anni ad affrontare le pali in battaglie e sapendo a prova quanto siano inutili i mezzi tentati per preservarsi, io ciecamente abbandonavami al mio destino, allorché poi giunsi a capo degli affari, dovetti credermi, tuttavia fra le battaglie, le cui pali erano i cospiratori, io continuai quindi sulla stessa vita e mi sono abbandonato alla mia stella, lasciando alla polizia tutta la cura di difendermi con prudenti coteli. Sono stato forse il solo sovrano in Europa che non aveva avuto guardi del corpo, sì, Venivami senza passare attraverso una sala di armati, superate le esteriori difese delle sentinelle, potevasi liberamente girare all'interno del mio palazzo. Era questo un grande argomento di sorpresa per Maria Luigia, la quale non poteva darsi pace di vedermi sì poco guardato e dicevami spesso e seri il padre suo meglio custodito, circondato d'armi, quanto ai me. Io vivevo alle Tuileries, né più né meno come vivo che, ignorando persino sì la mia spada. This is one of the classic moments of Scots where Napoleon had like no security. He was so proud of that. He would just like drop his sword somewhere in the room. That would be it. Just come in and kill him if you wanted. And he sang, when Marie Louise, his second wife, his Austrian Archduchess wife, saw that he had like no protection, she was like, what? My father's got 1,000,000 guards around him everywhere he goes. You don't care if they come and kill you? He's like, no, not really. That's Napoleon. He believes in fate. He's like, when it's my time, I'll go. And that is how he was. But he always likes to tell that story. That really is shocked. Her father, everywhere he went, he had all these guards. But he did walk around, actually. I do know that he did that. But that's how the story goes. But her father would walk around, and they didn't rip him to pieces. That's the truth. Anyway. But her father was, looking at him. Franz. I believe Franz II. What a guy, Anyway, so very religious. Such a religious guy, just dumps his stepson, his son-in-law off to be killed. These are very religious people, of course. Gotta keep that in mind. You're dealing with the most moral people from their the images they put across. Her father was like the most Catholic of them all. And he sets her up with Nyberg, who's ridiculous. Then they start having children right away. So it's complete fake impressions they're creating. But you gotta understand how it works. It's one image and then the truth behind it, and just totally fake. If you look at their actions, okay? So now Lavalette, he's out in the street, he's running. Poor Emily's stuck in jail, but he doesn't know what's going on with her. These are his memoirs, and Emily has created this vast conspiracy to break him out and to get him out of the country, to save him from this terrorist execution by the English gold occupation puppet regime that could only stay in power through terrorism and frightening the public. And Lavalette was one of their victims to terrify the public. And if Lavalette was going to escape their terrorism to terrify the public, that was going to be a problem. So they set a huge manhunt after him because they can't let their terrorism get derailed, because how else is English gold going to have their puppet regimes if the people aren't too terrified? That's how it works. That's 200 years ago. It's just like today. Okay. So anyway, let's see where we're at. So poor Josephine, his little 13-year-old daughter, is just praying. She's just praying with all of her heart that her father will be saved once he gets out into the street and he has to go through this elaborate scheme to escape France. And he was actually one of the best people in France. He was almost an angel, if you ask me. He was a wonderful person. Everybody says that. Everybody loved him. He was an incredible person. And they were going to kill him. Okay, so let's continue. Nous traversâmes le pont Saint-Michel, la route de la Harpe, et bientôt nous atteignîmes le route de Vaugirard derrière l'Odion. Là seulement, je commençais à respirer en regardant le cocher du cabriolet qui fut mon étonnement de reconnaître le comte de Chassenon qui je ne m'attendais guère à trouver là. Quoi, c'est vous? Lui dis-je. Oui, vous avez derrière vous 4 pistolets doubles bien chargés. J'espère que vous en ferez usage. Non, en vérité, je ne veux pas vous perdre. Alors, je vous donnerai l'exemple. Un malheur à qui se présentera pour vous. Arrêtez. Nous allâmes jusque sur le boulevard Neuf, au coin de la rue Cluny, et nous nous arrêtâmes. J'ai placé mon mouchoir blanc sur le tablier du cabriolet. C'était le signal que venu avec Monsieur Potu en chemin. Je m'étais débarrassée de tout attirail féminin dont j'étais affublée. Et je me couvrais d'une carrique de jockey avec le chapeau rond de galonnet. Monsieur Potu arriva bientôt. J'ai pris congé de Monsieur de Chassenon et j'ai suivi modestement mon nouveau maître. Il était 8 heures du soir. La pluie tombait à torrents. La nuit était profonde, la solitude complète dans cette partie du Farbeux que sagement j'ai marché avec peine. Et sur Dieu, on s'est rapidement, ce n'était qu'avec effort que je pouvais conserver ma distance. Bientôt, j'ai perdu un de mes souliers. Il fallait marcher cependant. Nous rencontrâmes des gendarmes qui courions au galop et qui ne se doutaient guère que j'étais là, car probablement c'était à moi qu'ils en voulaient. Enfin, après plus d'une heure de marche, j'arrêtais de fatiguer, une pied de chaussée, l'autre nu. Monsieur Petit s'arrêta un instant rue de Grenelle, près de la rue des Bacs. J'ai entré méditer dans une telle pendant que je parlerai aussi avancé dans le cube. Vous trouverez un escalier à la gauche. Montez là jusqu'au dernier étage. Avancez dans un corridor obscur que vous trouverez à droite au fond de toute pile de bois. Tenez-vous là et tentez. Nous fîmes alors quelques pas dans la rue de Bac et une sorte de vertige me prit quand je les vis frapper à la porte du ministre des Affaires étrangères, occupé alors par Monsieur le Duc de Richelieu. So he's out in the street dressed as a woman. And he sees these fancy guys count the Chassenon. He's like, oh no, this guy's gonna catch me. And the guy's like, I got 4 weapons for you. Let's go. So cool. So then they change his clothes and he's like running and it's like flooding with rain. He loses his shoe. He's going. And then finally they put him up against a door and they're like, knock. He's like, oh no, it's the Duke of Richelieu. So all these aristocrats helping him. It's incredible. It's an incredible story. Because they're the only people who could do anything. Because they're in charge. But they're helping him. See, we can work together. It's beautiful. We can work together. We really can work together. There is hope. There is hope. I'm not pretending. There is hope. There's a lot of hope. We just have to unite. Okay? Anyway. This is incredible. Look, we fight. We fight. That's what we do. You know? We all fight together. We do our best. And we're fighting for ourselves. You know, we're fighting for our souls. And if other people benefit, that's wonderful. But that has been my perspective all along. I'm fighting for myself and my soul. And I want to make it to the other side. I'm not going to follow them where they're going. I know where they're going. Yeah, I do. I know exactly where they're going. They're going to a sort of like spiritual slavery where they're going to be the slaves of the things they made those deals with. And everybody who's in a deal with demons, guess what? You can get out of them. And I highly recommend that you guys get out of them because it's highly possible you can get out of those deals. These things are not your friends. They make bad deals, bad faith deals. Like spiritual things are very real. Get out of those deals. It can be better. It can be better for all of us. We can change. Anyway, like I said, I'm trying to save myself. And I hope you guys will save yourselves along with me. That's my whole goal here. So it's very selfish. Anyway, so let's get back into how poisoning works in Spanish. This is Stan Forvischer, the Swedish toxicologist, who read Marchand's memoirs. That was Napoleon's Valet de Chambre. And he said, oh, wow, this is standard arsenic poisoning. It's a certain method by Madame Brinvillers. He knew what this was. These things are not big secrets, you know? There's a history of poisoning. Napoleon was poisoned in a very standard way that, like, witchy aristocrats poison people. Yeah, I said it. There's witchy aristocrats and they poison people. Okay, so that's the tradition this is coming out of. Okay? These are not figments of the imagination. These are historical facts that are repressed and not told to us. Okay? Preámbulo. La vie de Roy Malmaison le debí la mitad de su nombre, Napoleón Bonaparte, la única avenida francesa que lleva el suyo. El emperador, un camino que conduce a Saint-Cloud, los franceses, una evacuación magistrada de Trianon consular al que el Pierre Schomer ha echado la última mano. La historia, un gran número de obras, entre ellas la primera parte de las Memorias de Marchand. Se trata de mi maestro y amigo, Jean Bourguignon, miembro del Instituto Gran Oficial de la Legión de Honor, fallecido antes de haber publicado la última parte, la más importante, consagrada a la cautividad del emperador en Santa Elena. Debo a su hija, la señora Rook Bourguignon, el haber tenido el honor de terminar la tarea de su padre. Y desde aquí le renuevo la expresión de mi respetuoso agradecimiento. La debo también la oportunidad de haber conocido al doctor Stan Forvischer, cirujano dentista en el Instituto de Estocolmo. En la Universidad de Bordeaux realizó su tesis en la Facultad de Medicina de Londres, especialmente conocido en el mundo por sus trabajos de histología, de patología y de fisiología alimenticia. Este sabio sueco, profesor de categoría, escritor de talento, se interesa además por la obra de la persona de Napoleón I, del que es ferviente admirador. Por tanto, leo las memorias de Marshall relativas a la actividad en Santa Elena. Volvió a leerlas, a estudiarlas, a pasarlas por la criba de su intuición, primero después de sus conocimientos científicos, obteniendo poco a poco, escrito, la clave del enigma que constituye la enfermedad de Napoleón en Santa Elena y llegando a la conclusión de que el ilustre cautivo fue envenenado y muerto con diabólico refinamiento, mientras me explicaba prolijamente en el curso de una interesante visita que tuvo la amabilidad de hacerme que el emperador había sido como él mismo había escrito, assassinato largamente en detalle con premeditación. Stanford me pidió que para añadir a las pruebas históricas otras pruebas químicas del envenenamiento le ayudara a encontrar cabellos del emperador. Yo los poseía. Procedentes, los orígenes indiscutibles. Primero, un paquete donde había escrito de puño y letra de marcha en cabellos del emperador, sin precisión de fecha. Segundo, un paquete procedente del pintor Isabel, autentificado y firmado por él, cabellos recogido en través de la campaña al 14 germinal del año 8 con motivo de una parada del emperador en esa vía durante su viaje hacia Milán, donde iba a recibir la corona de Italia. Los diarios de la época indican efectivamente la presencia del emperador entró en esa fecha. Entregué a Stanford varios cabellos de cada paquete. Poco tiempo después, el doctor Forvershot me envió el resultado del análisis hecho por el laboratorio de Glasgow sobre unos cabellos cuya procedencia ignoraba el analista. Este añadía a los resultados químicos obtenidos. El sujeto ha absorbido grandes cantidades de arsénico. Me gustaría conocer la historia de este caso particular. Así pues, novedad respecto a Santa Elena. Napoleón envenenado. Stanford conocía a fondo el drama de la actividad, los actores y los comparsas, los personajes de seguido del emperador. Esto tiene ya mucho mérito, pero el sabio sueco se ha superado escribiendo en francés un libro importante, solidamente estructurado que apasiona al lector desde las primeras páginas. Se le conduce hasta la muerte del emperador a través de las múltiples escenas de un nuevo caso de los venenos cuyas circunstancias los hombres de ciencia estudiarán sin duda y discutirán. Tal vez nunca había lamentado tanto como hoy no haber profundizado más mis estudios científicos, iniciados durante una juventud agitada. Henri Lachouque. All right, so now we have another person talking about how Sten Forvishud, the toxicologist, was a great admirer of Napoleon. And just from the memoirs, he knew he was poisoned with arsenic because of the symptoms. It was, you can find out everything about St. Helena from the memoirs. It's just everybody's writing the memoirs. So it's very clear to him what's going on. But how can he prove it? He has to prove it. So he has to get his hair, Napoleon's hair. And Napoleon gave his hair to people as a souvenir throughout his life. So obviously they found arsenic in his hair, you know. And it's I think it's just proven. So, and who did it? It can only be Montauk, right? Look, he sounds amazing, these memoirs, you know. He's telling you how unhealthy the island is. It's so unhealthy. It's so unhealthy. He's poisoning him. But the island was unhealthy. They were going to make sure he died of natural causes, if you know what I'm saying. So one way or another, he was going to die of natural causes. And like you said, it's so important to understand this is how this regime operates. They lie about every single thing. You know, and they kill people all the time. And then they send all these messages while they kill, and then they send messages, and then they pretend they didn't kill. And this is how they always do it. I talk about Scalia. Okay, go in the Podesta emails and look at all the natural causes death of the Podesta emails of Scalia. Take a good look, okay? See how he died of natural causes in the Podesta emails. Okay, that's wrong. And I keep getting sued from the same guy, because I'm invisible to all of them. But there's this one guy that they've like allowed to pretend to see me, and he keeps suing me. It's a conspiracy. That's how conspiracies work. This one guy keeps suing me because he's the only one who can like officially see me. And then the other ones like, oh, I don't know, like the ones that go around killing people of natural causes. And it's all over their emails. Podesta emails, everything you want to know is in the Podesta emails. I had the misfortune of going through a lot of them, and it's very depressing because you see that a lot of people around him are dupes, and they actually think they're doing the right thing, and they just want jobs, and they don't know how to get jobs in this environment. And I feel for them. How do you get a job in this environment? It's a totally rigged game. So everybody's going to Podesta like, hey, we want jobs. And our uncle and stuff, so you have to give us jobs. So Podesta gives them jobs because that's how it works. You get a job if your uncle is this big shot. And then Podesta gives you a job. And then you get to run the puppet candidates. So you get to see how they talk about Hillary Clinton. I strongly recommend if you have the patience, which I doubt anybody does, but if you have the patience to go to emails, you can see how they talk about Hillary Clinton. Like she's just the way they talk about her. Let's just say it's ridiculous. Okay, it's like a HBO show the way they talk about her. They're gonna tee up her opinions. They're gonna tell her what her opinions are. It's puppets. And then you go see who her best friends are. Oh, in England. Her best friends are in England. You see, this is all coming from that beautiful country. It is a beautiful country, and I do actually like it. I have been there, and I liked it a lot. I thought it was amazing. And I actually love it. I have nothing against England whatsoever. And that's the honest truth. It's a beautiful country, and I wish England the best, and I hope that they get free. And they know better than anyone. And I'm just telling the truth because this all comes from England. And it's been coming from England, I think, since the 1600s, but certainly since the 1800s. Anyway, let's do some German. Let's get into the German here and just do a little German. All right. Mehrere Jahre darauf zur seit seiner Gründung in Mailand sorgte die berühmte Sängerin Geisin seine Aufmerksamkeit auf sich. Die Umstände waren nicht mehr von so strenger Art. Ließe sie zu sich kommen und nach den ersten Augenblicken einer schnellen Bekanntschaft erinnerte sie ihn daran, dass sie ihre Laufbahn gerade bei den ersten Taten des Generals der italienischen Armee begonnen hätte. Ich war, sagte sie damals, in den höchsten Glanz meiner Schönheit und meines Talents. Unter allen den Sonnenjungfrauen von mir die Retter. Ich verführte alle Augen, entbrannte alle Herzen. Nur der junge General alleine war kalt geblieben und doch nur allein meine ganze Beschäftigung aus welcher Seltsamkeit, welcher Laune das Schicksal. Damals, als ich etwas gelten konnte, als ganz Italien zu meinen Füßen lag, als ich mit herrlicher Fassung für einen einzigen ihrer Blicke auf alles andere versickerte hätte, konnte ich diese nicht gewinnen. Und nun lassen Sie diesen Blick auf mir gefallen, Jesu, wo es nicht mehr die Mühe wert ist, wo ich ihr nicht mehr würdig bin. Die berühmte Madame Visconti gehörte gleichfalls unter den Saal der Armiden, nachdem sie vergebens ihre Seite an Napoleon verloren hatte. Wandte sie sich an Berthier, der auch von diesem ersten Augenblick kann ja noch für die Liebste. Der Obergeneral schenkte ihm eines Tages einen prachtvollen Diamanten von mehr als 100.000 Franken am Wert. Bertie sagte auch zu ihm, behalten Sie dies, wir spielen oft ein großes Spiel. Dies ist nötigen Fall seiner Birne. Sicher den Durst zu löschen. Kaum wären 24 Stunden verlassen, als Madame Bonaparte ihren Gemahl von einem Diamanten erzählte, der ihre ganze Bewunderung in Anspruch nehme. Dies war die Birne für den Durst, die schon aus Berthiers Hand auf das Haupt der Madame Visconti übergegangen war. Diese regierte ihn später ohne Unterbrechung bei allen Umständen seines Lebens. This is kind of a good one. So when Napoleon first married Josephine, he was really into her. And she was cheating on him. And then he found out she was cheating on him. This is like the story. You gotta know everything about this. It's so juicy. Anyway, so he was like the hero of Italy. There's this beautiful singer named Grassini, and she was crazy about him. Napoleon couldn't care less about her because he's so in love with Josephine. But he comes back. He comes back, and she's like, "Oh, I was so much more beautiful then, and all I cared about was you, and oh, now you're into me." You know, yeah, he was for a bit, but he was into her. He loved his musicians, of course. That was Napoleon, and she was a great singer, and they had a thing, him and Grassini. So then he says, he's got this guy Berthier, who's his like chief of staff, does everything for him. And he just hands him this like $100,000 diamond. He's like, "Here, have this." Oh, he's so generous. And then this woman is after him, Madame Visconti. Everybody's after him. He was Napoleon, of course. This woman's after him. And Napoleon's like, "I'm not into you." And then Berthier picks her up. And then like a minute later, Berthier gives her the diamond. And this is a whole story. Freaking Berthier and Madame Visconti. It's so interesting, all of it. But he had a whole long thing with her too. Crazy things happen with him. Napoleon was always trying to get Berthier like back in the straight and narrow. You know, funny coming from Napoleon. Anyway, just want to give you that little bit of gossip because this is a juicy story, and I want you to know about it. Anyways, thank you for listening. I appreciate it so much, and I hope you have a good evening. Good night.